everyone. Today we're going to look at 3 ways that students lose marks in TOEIC, and we're going to fix it. So before we start, please share, subscribe, like, all those things. All right, let's get started. The first mistake, well, let's look at a question here. So take your time and decide what the answer is. Okay, so let's go over this and I will tell you the answer. So it says the directors within the company to reduce plastic production. All right, so I have to decide what my subject is. And this is actually quite simple because I can see my subject is directors. My subject is not company. My subject is directors. So I have directors, then a prepositional phrase. I just remove that. So directors. So I know A is incorrect. There's no subject-verb agreement. B, that makes sense because directors have. Okay, probably B. C doesn't work because there's no subject-verb agreement. Director decides, directors decide. And once again, D, there is no subject-verb agreement. So my subject is directors. Many people make the mistake and think company is the subject. Don't make that mistake. Be aware of the true subject. Let's look at one more here. What is the answer? The head of sales traveling to New York. So what is my subject here? The head, the head. So B is definitely wrong. D is definitely wrong because the head is 1. So then I look at C or A. And A, you just don't need past perfect here. There's no reason. So get rid of A, and the best answer is C because the head is traveling. Sales are not traveling. The head of the company, the head of sales is traveling. All right, let's do one more. Let's bring it up. All right, so the number of citizens who disagree with the decision. Well, my subject here is the number. It's not citizens. So the number has increased. My only choice is B. D just doesn't make any sense, but when I look at subject-verb agreement, my only choice is D. So this is especially true if you see the noun, the noun. All right, so be aware of what the subject is. Don't just look at the last word. What is the subject? The next common mistake is with recommend and suggest. It is wrong to say, I recommend you to go to the cinema. It is wrong to say, I recommend him to watch that movie. After recommend, do not use to verb. So what can you do? After recommend and suggest, you can use verb ing. I recommend watching that movie. Perfect. You can use that subject plus verb. I recommend that you watch the movie, or I recommend you watch the movie. So subject, verb, or you can just have a noun. I recommend the movie to you, okay? But not to verb. So let's do a little practice. Let's put this up. So the authorities recommend over the next few weeks. What is the answer? The answer is D, because after recommend, I'm not going to use the to verb. I'm not going to say, I recommend citizens to not swim. I am going to use a gerund or that subject verb. So the answer is D. This is such a common mistake. Let's look at the next example. What is the answer? We suggest warm clothing. The answer, B. Okay, B, because not suggest two verbs. So we are using suggest, subject plus verb. I suggest that you bring warm clothing. I suggest bringing warm clothing, or I suggest warm clothing. These are your options. All right, let's do one more just for fun. If you want to pause the screen, go ahead. It is recommended. Well, we're following the same rule. So the only answer, A, because we don't want to use that to verb after recommend. So A. All right, that's the second common mistake. Now we're going to go to the third common mistake. And I don't want you to get these wrong on the test because you don't need to, because they're simple fixes. So let's look at the idea of calling a group the adjective. For example, if you are talking about young people, you can say the young, and the young equals young people. So the adjective equals that group. For example, rich people can be called the rich. Poor people could be called the poor. So let's do a little practice here. So if we look at the first example, it says the blank require more support from the government. So we look at our examples, our options. All right, so I know it's not D, because if it was the sick person, it would have to be requires with an S. The six just doesn't make sense, because what is sick is not a noun, so I can't count it. The sickness, you might say the sickness is because you have require. But the answer is A, the sick, because it equals sick people. So the sick equals sick people. Pretty confusing. I think it's very confusing. All right, let's look at one more. So we have this example. Many people think need to pay higher taxes. So what are you going to pick? Well, your answer is the wealthy, because the wealthy equals wealthy people. All right, so if I use this, thinking of other examples, we often talk about the homeless, because homeless is an adjective, or the visually impaired, or the disabled. So remember, when you see something like the adjective, it can be talking about a group of people, and it is considered plural. All right, so don't make these mistakes anymore. Share, like, love, hate, comment on this channel. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.